This is PHNX Suns. You know, we dive deep into the weeds of basketball talk. So for the next hour, we're going to be breaking down Grayson Allen's physique. Don't go anywhere. Psychos and sickos unite for an X Factor edition of PHNX Suns presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. Welcome on in. I'm Eric Ruby. That's Stephen Prejean Garner. We got the Juice Man, a.k.a. Freckle Bamba, behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. But, of course, the most important people, all of you joining us live, you know what to do. Like button, subscribe button, 5-star reviews. Plus, become a member today if you want some exclusive content, plus some exclusive emojis to spam in the chat. Big shout out to all of you who are still tapping in with us on a Friday, a rainy Friday, as day 2 of training camp is underway. All the stars were out at training camp, including Stephen. We'll get into that. Plus, we'll talk about what Gregory had to say about Grayson Allen. You. Sorry. Me? We'll talk about what Cutesy Legs had to say about that. We'll also... Yeah, there we go. Listen, man, you set me up for it. We'll talk about what Gregory had to say about Grayson Allen being poised to have a breakout season, then listen to what Grayson Allen had to say after that, get into Royce O'Neal, Oso Ighodaro, Collin Gillespie, and just talk a little bit about the Suns as we get closer to next week's preseason game. But, Stephen, first things first, how are you, and how was day 2 of training camp?
I'm busy.
Yeah, because you had Merc shoot around this morning, too.
Merc shoot around. Suns practice, Merc game tonight.
Now you here.
Post game, 3 p.m. show. Locked in.
Let's
get it.
You'll be doing your post game. I'll be doing my ASU post game.
We are here. We grinders.
The biggest grinding podcast of all time. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah, man. Listen.
Who wears the pants in the grinding podcast? Anyway.
How are you?
I'm great. Obviously firing on all cylinders today. Per usual. I thought
that's no different than any other day.
I thought something that was really cool that I saw from you that was out at training camp was just how many, people, legends, former coaches were out there. Can you let the people know, for those who are not familiar, who was there at training camp today?
Yeah, so we saw. I think the first person I saw was that my eye caught was Steve Clifford. He was sitting at like a little Suns emblem table in the corner of the court, like kind of right in between both courts at the practice facility. And then just kind of gazing around, I eventually saw Steve Nash, and he was essentially in close proximity to Steve Clifford. And then in the corner, Tom Thibodeau, the raspy voice and all. It was honestly cool to see. You're a sicko if you are polarized by seeing Tom Thibodeau.
Were you polarized or were you blinded by the bald spot?
No, I was polarized.
Okay.
Because that man is a genius in many respects, and I appreciate the way you can't tell the story of basketball without him. Whether he's him with the Celtics or him with the Bulls, him with the Knicks now recently. Dude has a hand in a lot. Team USA basketball as well. Great reverence for Tom Thibodeau. And then lastly, but certainly not least, there's no name on that list of names that's least, but Nate Oates, head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide men's basketball program. A true highly impactful piece in evolving the way that teams operate on the offensive end of the floor, the way that teams look to build a culture. He's a coach that's done that at multiple stops. Most recent stop and his present stop being with the Alabama Crimson Tide. You can't talk about the evolution of college basketball and the way that teams operate on that level without including Nate Oates. And even Jordan Knott spoke to having people like him in his kind of Rolodex of network to lean into and communicate with.
I'm sure Jordan is the guy in like a coach's group chat or that another coach's phone
Better
who's
believe
just
it.
constantly texting, hey, where did you get that play? Hey, what did you think about this? Hey, can you check that out? Like
3:26 in the morning.
we learned so much more about Jordan Ott every single day. You mentioned Steve Nash, right? Yeah. That's obviously the one that people are going to gravitate to the most. I think some people are probably curious as to why other coaches that are not technically affiliated with the team would be there. A lot of times coaches just do that. Whether it's just to sharpen their own skills or to lend a hand or an ear to, whoever the head coach is, and not just first-time head coach, just head coaches in general. But with Steve Nash, obviously he was there, and he seemed pretty involved talking with a lot of guys today.
Everybody, players, coaches, assistant coaches. I was hoping he made his way around to the media.
To me,
because he was talking to everybody else in the gym.
Steve, it's me, Steven. We're like name guys. We're like twins. I like point guards too.
No, he was getting ready to start talking point guards. You already know. But yeah, it was cool to see him have an extensive conversation with Jordan after I got done speaking with the media. And then as they're having their conversation, here comes Matt Ishbia. And he just comes to shake hands and say hi. It doesn't want to disrupt the conversation too much, but a lot of bodies in the room for the Suns today, and I think it's very cool to see.
Yeah, I like that. I like what the vibe around training camp is. In fact, that's something that Devin Booker spoke to, which was like the competitive nature of the 2 days of training camp so far.
Just how competitive the practices have been. What stood out to you about that?
Just what he said. The level on everything's high. Every little mini drill that we do, we're split up into groups, and we want to win. Everybody's charting their wins, in their head, saying them out loud, and it's just a high level gym. Everybody's a competitor, so nobody wants to lose in anything.
It's a high level gym, and you need to have that competitive spirit, that no desire to lose for this team specifically, Stephen, to pick up wins that maybe they're not supposed to get during this regular season on paper.
Yeah, I was going to say on paper because you asked any of them, they're not going to be thinking they should be losing to anybody. So, but yeah, to that point, I think if you're looking to establish the type of culture and identity, all these kind of hit words that we've been hearing from the higher-ups, Jordan Ott, Brian Gregory, Matt Ishbia, if you want that, there has to be a sustained level of competition. Talking about individual drills, one-on-ones, one-on-zeros. There should be a certain type of urgency that guys are moving with on a day-to-day basis. And if they're talking like this and this is happening at the early stages, the foundational days, that becomes a part of your hot word daily habits.
Yeah.
And those daily habits are what I lamented last season to get something that will be an asset for them in this season.
Yeah. You've got to be honed in on all the little details, right? Sure. Which is also something that Devin Booker talked about when you asked him this question about him and Jordan Ott's dynamic.
Obviously, being a primary creator, primary ball handler, feels like a battle for space between offenses and defenses. But how do you see him kind of maximize your talent by creating more space for you and giving you those more pockets to just kind of operate in?
I think, just figuring out the spacing out there. And I think it would take a little bit of time, kind of what we were just saying about Nigel being in the right place at the right time and punish teams for, junk defenses and blitzes. And, it's going to take some time to build. The faster we speed up that process, I think it'll be easier for everybody where, I can find that right balance of making plays for people and scoring.
I think Matt said on media day that you had the guys up to Flagstaff over the season. Can you tell us a little bit about that trip and what that was about?
I just wanted to, we had a new team, just get everybody, together and out of some of their comfort zones, being outside together on the golf course. And, we definitely got some time in the gym. So, we didn't want training camp or a week before training camp to be the first time everybody's meeting each other because, I know, how valuable those off-court relationships, directly affect being on the court together.
Yeah, I think maybe the operative word of players after they get done speaking with Jordan Ott is spacing. That feels like one of the points of emphasis for them. Understanding how to occupy spots on the floor, but when to do so and the why behind that. I think that when you get to the why part, it allows for the when and the how to make more sense, and you start processing it quicker. And there's less of a snag or a lag with it. You just get to it, you do what you need to do to operate and manipulate the space, and then now you get players like Devin Booker not having to worry about as much nail help or as much low man help because you got things moving around with them. And I think that part is very important.
Well, and if you want to play fast, you've got to not be thinking about what you're doing at all times, right? Like something that'll slow you down is if you don't know where to be or you don't know what you're supposed to be doing or what the other person is doing. If you want to play with the pace that they've said they want to play with, which has been a massive emphasis for them in, media day and everything, is the pace and the speed that they're going to be playing with and the fervor on both sides of the ball. If you don't have chemistry with the guys that you're playing with, you can't play that fast. Like with Indiana, they played like 10 guys deep all the way through the end of the finals, but all 10 guys knew how to play with each other, even when it was just a backup. Like that's a special skill to have, and not all teams have that. In the last couple of years, it was, okay, yeah, you got the talent. Go out there and play with the talent and win with talent. This year, you have to rely on chemistry. You have to rely on pace. You have to rely on effort. And I think this roster is built for that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the roster is built for that, but I think the coaching staff is built for teaching and generating the buy-in that it needs to expedite that process. Where, again, you can learn different things from different teachers, but some teachers will get you to point B quicker than others. And I think a lot of that goes into what Jordan Knott and the intentionality behind not only his teachings, but all of the other coaches on his staff, Mike Muscala, Damari Carroll, Jesse Mermes. These people, I feel like they're all aligned.
Really?
And I don't want to overuse it because I feel like we use it all summer, but it genuinely feels like they're all moving on the same accord. And because of that, it should allow for them to navigate things a little more quickly than they typically would.
Alignment is a joke when it's not happening, right? Like when Brian Gregory sat there and was talking about alignment, and said about 50 times in 45 minutes, it was a joke because we're coming off of the most embarrassing season in Suns history. We're coming from a team that clearly wasn't aligned. But as the summer has gone on, I think alignment has become sort of like a rallying cry because, and again, this is all what is being said. And as a coach once said, well said is better than well, or well done is better than well said, not the other way around. But when you have everybody on the same page of what your identity is, when you have a roster that's all on the same page as far as like, do they all have chips on their shoulders? Do they all have something to prove? Are they all ready to give their all? I mean, Book even said it on Burns and Gambo the other day where, not everybody's on-court goal was the same over the last couple of years, right? Alignment's a joke until you don't have it, right? And then you don't have it and you're like, oh man, we could really use some alignment right now. The great teams are aligned. Like OKC, like alignment, I think another word for it could be identity. Like those two things go hand in hand. And the best teams have an identity. And from what they are saying, this team has much more of an identity than before. Now, that doesn't matter if once the ball is tipped, all that goes out of the window. Because what happened media day last year?
A whole lot of talk about pace.
And shooting threes. And Mike Budenholzer's this great coach. And, we're kind of renewed and whatever, right? Nobody left media day last year feeling bad. Nobody left media day 2 years ago feeling bad. You usually don't leave media day feeling bad. But with this one, with the way that they are speaking, with the people that are in place, it does feel like they are ready to back up those words. And also the expectations are different. So if they don't win, but they still back up those words, like they're not necessarily like not getting the payoff that they've kind of been promising people.
And I think that kind of derives from, well, at least for me, it derives from the statement that Matt Ishbia had. I think it was yesterday, or it was on media day, so Tuesday or Wednesday rather. It's been a long week. When he talked about success, maybe not necessarily looking like directly aligned with wins and losses. Like the wins obviously are what they want, but if you win, let's say you win 34 wins, 35 wins, and the team is super together and it's just clear that they're at a talent deficit after the top 2 or 3 players, but the younger guys are coming along with their skill development, and you can see routes to success for each one of those players individually, and it's clear that Jordan Knott has the buy-in from the collective group, from Devin Booker all the way down to the bottom of the roster.
Yeah.
Like that hits completely different going into another season versus one that was underwhelming like last year, and you don't know what's going on with the coaches and how he's vibing with the players and if the players are getting along and all of that stuff.
And I think where that will really take shape is when we see this team hit adversity, when we see this team, go through the really tough moments of this upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they don't fold. Hopefully they can maintain that identity. And maybe that puts them in a position to, like I said, win some games where you shouldn't. Maybe the shots aren't falling, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe the other team is playing really, really well. But somehow, some way, you see it all the time, like grit and energy and passion can will you to a victory. In fact, that's what people gravitated towards with Collin at the end of the season, that comeback against the Clippers. Like, again, Suns were not supposed to win that game. Mm-hmm. They just weren't. But through grit and energy and, passion, they did. But it was just a drop of that last year. Like, they've got to have the whole bucket this year.
Yeah, that burst they got from Collin Gillespie at the end of last season, and the way that it kind of shocked everything, they're hoping to have that multiplied by like 5 or 6 in terms of players claiming any significance of minutes in the rotation. If that becomes something that is now sustained and it's expected as part of their identity, to your point, you're talking about them maybe winning some games that some people might say they shouldn't, or that they don't really have business being in and contending with some teams. That's how you get there. That's how you shrink that margin right there.
Yeah, and you build on that stuff as a fan base, as a culture, as a team. That type of stuff piles up and cascades. But you are still going to need good individual performances. Absolutely. You are still going to need players in order to shock people this season to overachieve in terms of their expectation. And is Grayson Allen the most likely candidate on the roster to do so? We'll hear what Gregory had to say, plus what Grayson Allen had to say about his offseason and so much more right here on PHNX Suns, presented by Bet365. But we'll do it right after our first break. Love our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. One of the highlights of my offseason was going to watch the Straight Game podcast with special guest Shaquille O'Neal. That was awesome. In fact, you probably saw some viral clips of that going around Twitter when he said he told Pat Riley that he had to force him out of practice. That was from the Straight Game podcast. The thing about Gila is that they just have everything, right? Whether it's their state-of-the-art gaming floor for a fun night out on the town, or of course their resorts where you can go and actually just relax for a staycation, or go catch a game, go to a PHNX event, or just another live event and live show. Maybe a live podcast, maybe a live music event, whatever it is, they have you covered at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. It's an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement that you won't find anywhere else. So check out Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequiva, and Santan Mountain. But remember, you do you. At Gila River Resorts and Casinos, visit playatgila.com for more details. Like I mentioned, we are presented by Bet365 because this show is never ordinary and no moment is ordinary with Bet365. Of course, the MLB season is still going for the time being for the Snakes, but of course, you still have postseason action. Of course, the Cardinals are in the middle of their season as well. What a tough Thursday night game, but maybe you could have put a little money down on it and won and maybe just softened the blow, because Bet365 on Thursday Night Football has a $10 safety net bet. Not bad. Monday Night Football, 50% super profit boost, same game parlay token. And of course, once basketball season hits, they're going to have all the different types of boosts and bonuses and everything that you could need. Plus, right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for $5, and get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 52342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Shout out Sean, Bees, Kaylee, the freckled Mamba as well. I'm that dude, Deborah, Sora, everybody in the chat just hanging out with us here on a Friday. If you can hit the like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. For those of you who don't know why Bees' and Deborah's name are green with a badge next to it, well, it is because they are members and they get exclusive access to emojis, a special badge next to their name, and exclusive content coming your way very, very soon. So thank you to all of our members, and thank you to all of those listening on audio who rated us 5 stars. Stephen, when we were at Media Day earlier this week,
feels like last week at this point.
Feels like last year at this point. Sean says, I wonder if audio listeners think Erik just proclaimed himself as that dude. No, that's a guy's name in the chat. Sorry.
Relevant question.
Sora says those gray jerseys would hit on a day like this. Shout out Freckled Mamba.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
He's so right. He's so right.
Overcast jerseys, man. Knock it off.
Brian Gregory, kind of out of nowhere, just dropped his take on, hey, I think Grayson Allen's going to have a breakout year.
Great Grayson Allen just looks, I mean, he's going to have a breakout year because he's had as good a summer as anybody. I feel real confident about that. And I remember talking to him at the end of last year, and he talked about, and this is why having someone like Book is so important. He talked about the condition that Devin Booker was in and the fact he never gets tired on the court. And he one of the greatest strengths is his ability to run and run and run. And Grayson made a commitment, and we were in the hotel in Sacramento. He said, BG, I'm going to be in that kind of shape. And guess what? He is.
Man, Grayson Allen, it's so funny because I remember Media Day last year, and I even tweeted about this. It was like, ooh, Grayson Allen looks big. And here's the thing, man. Like, they kind of needed him to be big last year.
They were using him, yeah.
But I'll tell you this, Grayson Allen doesn't look small this year. Grayson Allen looks more toned. Like, his arms legit look big. And I know it's like, oh, well, who cares? Just play basketball. If you're going to play the way that this team has said, which is like extremely physical, extremely fast, you're going to need a guy like Grayson Allen to have that type of conditioning. And Book has incredible conditioning. And for Grayson to go out there this entire offseason, like, listen, I don't know if his three-point shot could get any better, right?
Yeah.
He is literally one of the top 10 shooters in the league. And on any given night can be the best, right? That's not getting any better. All of his other stuff, sure, he can get a little bit better at. But if he can up his stamina, his pace, while still keeping that strength, Stephen, that unlocks a whole lot for Jordan Ott. And honestly, I think that does put him square in the conversation of having a breakout year.
It does. I think, first of all, Brian Gregory mentioning the Devin Booker part and why Grayson had the motivation or inspiration, if you will, to get in even better shape. It couldn't come from a better person on the team. If your franchise guy, the guy that everybody's either coming to play with or thinking about in their mind how they can best facilitate to, is doing that, and he's the ring bearer of that, that's what you want. But to the Grayson Allen of it all, absolutely. I think there's going to be challenges and demands on Grayson Allen in terms of usage that is going to set him up for great sustained success, but I think it's going to have to come with him being at a certain fitness level. Grayson's never been one that seemed like he was out of shape in any capacity. And I think he's going to be up to the task in this upcoming season.
I've never seen Grayson as out of shape. I will say last season, though, I think defensively, he seemed a little bit slower footed. I felt like he was getting attacked a little bit more than the year before. Now, 2 years ago, I think if you're talking Grayson Allen breakout year, well, you don't have to go that far back to find something that would kind of categorize as that when he was starting with Beal, Booker, Durant, and Nurkic. But when you're in that starting lineup, even though they're not, awesome defensively, you had a great defensive head coach in Frank Vogel. I'm not afraid to say that considering the results that he got out of them. Not great at a lot of the other stuff, but a great defensive head coach. You're in the starting lineup with better talent and less focus on you offensively. So I think he was able to mask maybe some of his weaknesses defensively. Plus, I think he was a little bit lighter. Right? I know that people kind of think it's funny to talk about that, and I'm not putting a ton of stock into it, but it does matter. I mean, why do you think everybody's freaking out about the Zion stuff? Right? And of course, Grayson wasn't on Zion's level, but like his body looked significantly different, like to the point that people were shocked when you saw him. Right? This year, if he can't be as hidden defensively because of the personnel that he might be sharing the court with, I think that if you are able to keep that strength but pick up your fleet of footedness, which is maybe through your stamina or literally from like your athleticism and your weight, just being on that margin for Grayson Allen is going to allow him to stay on the court for longer and with a multitude of different lineups and with a 40+% three-point ball, sometimes plus 45%. I mean, Stephen, you break down film, you look at film, having one of those guys never stop moving around at least just the perimeter is hell for defenses.
It is. That's what Grayson's been as an individual player. And that's why I'm so excited to see what he's going to look like in Ott's system, because not only is it what Grayson is as an individual player, but it's also what the coach is going to be coaching towards for everybody to do. And I think that Grayson already being ahead of the curve in terms of that being part of his individual player archetype as it is, it sets him up for great success.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's going to be ready. Jordan wants to get up threes. He wants to play fast. He wants to move around in the half court. Those are all things Grayson already did individually.
Well, and if you don't think that Grayson Allen, like, and Deborah mentions it, like going into last year, his wife had a baby, and obviously, he has to take care of said baby. When you go through all of that, you have the sleep deprivation, your body has changed, and then obviously, as we know, like, the fit wasn't there with the head coach. There wasn't an offensive philosophy. There wasn't consistent usage. 2 of Grayson Allen's worst years of his career have come under Mike Budenholzer, and one of those was on the Bucks when Bud was at his best coaching, or at least closer to the top of his game than he was when he was in Phoenix. There was just something about that didn't mesh that well. So now this year, Grayson has an entire offseason. I'm sure he's not getting the best sleep, but better sleep, right? He's knowingly that he knows that he has to get better shape, and he has attacked that hard this offseason. He has faith, it seems like, in his head coach. When I asked him about Jordan Knott, he immediately had a smile on his face, like basically everybody else as well. And I think he knows that he has something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows that a lot is going to be riding on him. And if he wants to sign another great contract after this one runs up, I believe after next season, he's going to have to be better than he was last year.
Yep. And I think he understands that part of it. I think he also understands the magnitude of this season for the Suns and what they're trying to get towards, how he can play a significant piece in that, and how that ultimately naturally will also set him up for individual success in doing so.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Grayson Allen, of course, spoke at Media Day as well and talked about his role on the team.
I think it'll be huge for our team. We've talked about it a good bit with Coach Ott, and then obviously with Book and Jalen doing a lot of the handling for our team. But any actions that us 3 can get into up top, with its anyone being the handler, slip out, or small roles even. When you have someone like Jalen on our team this year, which I think is unique, we didn't really have anyone as explosive or athletic getting downhill as him last year. I think that when you have such a downhill threat off those small actions too, they become even more effective, especially for the shooters too. So I think it's something we'll be doing a lot, and you just got to get really good at it with messing up the timing, when to screen, when to slip out, all that stuff. Just get really good at the details of it.
Yeah, so kind of what we were speaking to prior to the video you just got done seeing from Media Day. He's already been doing a lot of the things that Jordan Knott's demanding from them past just Grayson. And I think that part is important because it's going to help for speeding up things, but it's also going to – Grayson can lean into guys in a way different than other players because he's been a role player pretty much since he got to the NBA level. He's also been through a lot of the things that some of the younger guys either are currently going through or will be going through. And, again, if you have a team full of multiple leaders and it's not just 2 or 3 or 4 guys, those are the ones that often do the best and expedite their process because – it's more than just one voice that's being leaned on to get the team to certain points. And I think Grayson is super relatable in that respect.
And I think for all the guys that were on the team last year, and I mentioned this with Ryan Dunn, and obviously all the stuff that he went through, and same thing with Oso, who we'll hear from a little bit later today, Royce as well. When you go through what happened last year and you make it to the other side of it, and obviously there's a ton of new guys in the building, players, coaches, etc., when you have gone through that, you can be a solid voice when the times are a lot smoother and a lot better. In fact, you're like way better prepared for it when you've made it through the chaos. And I think with Grayson, he's seen so much in his career. He's been on so many different teams. He's had so many different coaches. He's had a similar role, though, each and every time. I think that this is going to be a good way for him to step into that, and even as a leader as well. And I mentioned that, one of the things that left a little to be desired about Grayson's game last year was his defense. And he spoke about focusing on that at Media Day.
I think so. I think especially the way our roster is constructed now, we're very deep at the center position. We can we can go 48 minutes of rim protection and just have that in the game all game long, and that allows guys like Dylan or the other guards in the game and wings to be a little bit more aggressive with the ball. Because your worst case scenario is you end up funneling it into a shot blocking big. And then the athleticism that we have as a group and as a team, like rotation should be great on the weak side. And I think that's going to be a big emphasis, especially with Coach Ott. But I think this year our defensive identity is going to be really important and kind of crucial to our success if we want to win games. But having that many bigs that can protect the rim is super helpful for that, because it allows you to do a lot of different things on the ball defensively.
Stephen is Mr. Context in the Suns media space. How important is it for a guy like Grayson Allen, who's not, he's not just a top tier perimeter defender, right? He's not a guy that's going to make an all defensive team. How much of an impact does the personnel around him and the scheme around him have as to him not hitting his floor and hopefully hitting his ceiling as an individual defender?
Yeah, it gets a lot simpler for your role defensively if you can go from the necessity of holding and containing the ball when you're guarding it versus when mentally you can obviously still have that as the goal, but know that there's someone behind you, and it might be 2 layers of it behind you that can go in, either deter a shot from even taking place, or if they do get past you, they have to worry about someone with a 7'7", 7'6" wingspan like Mark Williams just kind of roaming around the basket. That's a lot to deal with. That plays into the psyche of decisions that ball handlers are making. And for someone like Grayson that certainly competes, if it doesn't come at a deficit to where blow-bys happen and it's just an automatic layup and you know it, like it was last season, that changes a lot for them defensively. That allows you to force teams to either play in constricted space or make them work later into the shot clock, and that's ultimately what you want. You can be more aggressive on the ball because you have the backside covered.
I'll say this for Grayson Allen. I never felt like he wasn't trying on defense. I never felt like he was checked out on defense. And I think he does fit that kind of dog mentality that you're going to be looking for with a Collin Gillespie as well, who's going to be a fervent defender, who's going to give a lot of effort, but isn't, doesn't have the most like physical tools, right? Or like a Royce O'Neal, who's a really smart defender, but doesn't necessarily have like those physical tools. If all of those guys at least know where they're supposed to be and know where to funnel guys and give that effort, there's a certain baseline you're going to hit defensively. I like what Deborah said. Deborah says, I feel like Grayson needs to be shown he's important to the team. Last year, he was not given that, in her opinion. That is also something on the psyche of like, listen, giving your all and giving your best is really easy when you feel invested in. When you feel on the court, protected, but also like on the other side of the ball, you're like comfortable. It's a lot easier to be at your best, even if you're still giving the same amount of effort, if you're in a situation where you at least feel wanted.
I think some of that comes from this season. I think the ball is going to move more than it did last season.
Yeah.
And one of the best rhythmic things in terms of feeling involved is just simply touching the basketball and not touching it because there's 3 seconds on the clock and someone got double teamed or someone's dribble terminated and they got to kick it off so you can just throw something up. Like, there's intentionality behind having somebody just touch the basketball. I can't remember what all-time great college coach said it, but that's some of the best value you can get is having guys simply touch it.
I think it was Bobby Hurley.
That sounds like a Bobby Hurley quote.
Yeah,
simply touching
Bobby
the ball.
cerebral with the game.
But yes, to that point, with Grayson in particular, I think naturally he's going to get touches because of the ways he's going to be used. But I think Jordan Knott has a nice Rolodex of plays to where it might be featuring Grayson as a primary option, getting maybe staggers or getting some elevator screens or something that's specific to an archetype like Grayson's.
Yeah, Elko82, thanks for being here, Elko. Says, Allen needs to work on his passing. He jumps before he knows who to pass it to. I think with Allen's a good enough passer to be the kind of guy who, it was 2 seasons ago, he had like a 13, 14 assist game, which is just crazy. I don't think he's a bad passer, but I do think he's a system passer, if that makes sense. And I think when you don't have an offensive system, guys, mistakes like his are going to kind of stand out a little bit more. No, Sean, no Bobby Hurley extension. Never. No. Sorry, this isn't the ASU show. This is the Suns show. And the final thing we'll hear from Grayson Allen is how he mentioned that he thinks the Suns are going to be better than what people expect.
Yeah, I think we're a better group than what people think we are. I'm pretty confident in this team. I like the team that we have. I think the pieces we have mesh well together. I think it'll be a very different identity than we've had the last 2 years I was here. Just the makeup of the team is extremely different. What we're going to have to do to be successful is going to be very different than what we did the last 2 years. But I think we're in a really good position to do those things, and I think Coach Ott has a very clear plan and vision for the team. And from what I've seen from the past month, I think everyone's going to buy into that. So I think we're going to surprise some people this year. I think it's almost a little nicer it's a little refreshing to not have like everyone putting championship expectations on you from day one of the off season. Like, we can just go out there, play free, play fun, and prove people wrong. And part of why I'm so glad to be back in Phoenix is I understand that the last couple of years, like, we did have these high expectations, and they weren't met. And last year it was really underperformed. And so I'm kind of happy to be back in this jersey and have an opportunity to be a part of a team that rights that a little bit for the fans and for ourselves.
I think there's a lot in knowing what it's supposed to look like on a daily basis. I think there's even more value in knowing what it doesn't or is not supposed to look like, because now you have like a barometer for what, if it gets below this point, we're in some troubled waters, versus when it's above that point, you're in good shape. And I think that part, having players that are coming from last season's roster and knowing the kind of pitfalls that team saw and what ultimately kind of was their Achilles heel, being able to move forward, knowing what it's not supposed to look like and applying that in real time should be very impactful for them.
I also just liked how he was like, the expectations aren't there. It's just a little bit more free. This team is going to be more free this year. Some things aren't free, though, and that's why we're going to take another break. Maybe not free, but 50% off weed at Zen Leaf Dispensaries, your go-to spot for cannabis, flowers, vapes, edibles, and more. And by more, I really mean more. We got like a little gift bag from Zen Leaf. Big shout out to the people over at Zen Leaf. How about like a nice balm, like a CBD THC balm for your aching joints? I mean, my knee is killing me after getting whooped by 30 in men's league. I needed a little relief on my knee. I'm not even kidding, it does hurt. A little bath tincture, a little bubble bath tincture with some THC. I mean, they really just have everything over at Zen Leaf. But the best part is you can use promo code ZenPHNX for a limited time only, and for a one-time purchase, you can get 50% off. So while you're stocking up for the preseason, the regular season, or maybe the NFL or college football season, you can always stock up over at Zen Leaf. Don't forget, this is the most important thing. Use promo code ZenPHNX for a limited time. Gets you 50% off a one-time purchase. Zen Leaf, great weed, great service every single time. And every single time I look at my Desert Financial Credit Union app, I'm thankful that I use Desert Financial Credit Union, because it's been in my family for generations, and it's been in the Valley for over 85 years. Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that just make lives better. Whether it's a checkings and savings accounts to when life gets more complicated, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. My favorite thing about Desert Financial is the people that they have in building. When you can walk into the bank and you can say, look, I need help with this. I need guidance with this. I have a question with this. They are always there. They are always happy to help, and they always have a smile on their face. But to prove that they're ready to give back to the community, DFCU's been giving you $200 for years now. And right now, when you open up a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. My dad wants to know how many points I had in the 30-point loss. The public needs to know. Well, he's asking you, but you're not on the team.
Yeah, I'm not on the team, so I can't tell you, but I'm curious. I'm curious.
0 in last night's game. It's been a rough stretch for your boy. I think I took like 3 shots. But I will say, we talked about this yesterday. I was making great cuts, and nobody was finding me. Nobody. We need a point guard.
That's tragic.
We need Tyus Jones. We really do. Yeah. Bad game all around from everybody. I'm ducking responsibility, yeah. But it is from everybody. But we don't need to talk about that. How about Royce O'Neal? We'll get to that after I tell people that we have a fun event coming up with the PHNX Cardinals crew over at Chicken and Pickle. It's a pre-game tailgate before the Cardinals take on the Packers. That's October 19th next month at 11 a.m. You'll have a PHNX merch giveaway, yard games, drink specials, and more. Go to gophnx.com/events to RSVP for this free event. Chicken Pickle's awesome. Great food, great drinks, great times over there. Remember, October 19th, 11 a.m., PHNX Cardinals, when the Cardinals take on the Packers. But it's basketball season over here on PHNX Suns. We talked about Grayson adapting to a new role, working on his conditioning. Well, Royce O'Neal also spoke about how to stay adaptable as a veteran in today's NBA.
But, just having a glue guy, I think, just brings everybody together from, the superstars to the last guy, rookies. And I think just having someone who's able to put the pieces together, play off of whoever is on the court, just having impact, whether you don't need the ball, whether you do, trying to do the intangibles that don't show up in the stat sheet. So I think everybody needs a glue guy, and not a lot of respect goes out to that guy. But I think you get the credit where it's deserved. And for me, I think just impacting the game, being able to say, okay, did I get better today? That's where I want to be impactful.
So this is coming from, and I say this endearingly, Devin Booker mentioning today that Royce O'Neal is Unk.
Yes.
Of this season's roster.
Devin Booker said, "I am not Unk." Nobody calls me
He
Unk.
did say he does have some gray hairs popping up.
Me too, buddy.
But he said that no, Royce is Unk of this season's roster. But to the point that Royce was getting at, I asked him about glue guys because one of his head coaches, or one of his coaches that he spent time with at Baylor in his collegiate years, mentioned that he valued guys like a Royce, guys like an Ish Wainwright, because those guys have one of the more adaptable roles. It's not going to look the same on every given night based off of ebbs and flows of a roster, but also who an opponent is. And having guys that can wear 82 different hats potentially in one season, but also be able to share that knowledge with others so that they can play their roles better and navigate things better as younger players is truly invaluable.
Yeah, Royce is a great vet for this specific team. I think he could bring some great stuff on the court, right? I don't think that he is washed as an NBA player. I think that there's still a lot left for Royce O'Neal. Now, I don't think he's nearly at the prime that he was, in his Utah days when he really was such a versatile defender and somebody that was super quick. Mm-hmm. But I think he actually improved a couple of assets of his game last year, especially when it came to finishing around the rim. That was something that I saw a slight improvement just from the eye test. I haven't gone back and looked at the numbers, but it felt like he was a little bit better at hitting layups and working around the rim. But Royce is so good at navigating through the peaks and the valleys of his own game, right? Because there will be the hot stretches and then the cold stretches, but he always keeps shooting and he's always there. He's a great connector. And I think he's going to be using a lot of different lineups. I think he's going to play with the young guys. He's going to play with Rasheer. He's going to play with Kaman, with Dunn, with Oso, right? With Mark. And I think he's going to play with, the other veterans on this team. I could see a lineup with all the oldest guys on the team on the court at the same time. You can have Book, Grayson, Royce, Nigel, and I don't know who's the oldest center. Nick Richards at 25, right? Like you can have the quote unquote older guys, and I think Royce can really fit in with anybody there. Like, and that is a really great player to have. I know that at the end of the day, both Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal will likely be on the trade block come late January, early February when you approach the trade deadline. But I don't think that they're players the Suns need to ship out unless a really great opportunity presents itself.
Royce was one of the best shooters in the NBA in the month of February this past season. And I want to pause there because he was in the same stratosphere as like Steph Curry in terms of, I think it was 3-pointers made in the month of February and especially in respect to 3-point percentage. In the month of February last season, I was just looking at it. He was at 46.7% from three, and that was on 92 attempts across 13 games played. 7 of those games he started.
Jeez.
That is really even if for a superstar player, that's really good. That is really, really good. Now, obviously, sustaining at that level is hard. And if we just go by month, last season for Royce, October in 5 games, 47.6%. November, 41%. December, 45.7%. January, 25.5%. And then jumping back up in February, 46.7%. March, 43.2%. And then in April, in only 6 games, 25%. So you see a little bit of ebb and flow there, but there was a whole lot more highs than there were lows last season, and that resulted in a career best season for him from deep on volume and percentage.
Yeah. Royce, I'm not worried about Royce. There will be games where I'm worried about Royce, but overall, I'm not worried about him. I'm also not worried and frankly, super excited for a player who's stepping into a new role this year, and that, of course, is Collin Gillespie. He spoke about his situation on this roster and this setup being different than whatever he's had before in his career.
Yeah, obviously a new role, but I think for me it's just proving it that I could do it consistently across a whole year and not just at the end of a season. So I think that's really the main goal. It's just to prove that I could do it consistently.
So he talks about proving it consistently and also proving that he belongs.
I think I learned, not that I learned, because I thought going into last year that I could play in the NBA, and I've worked my entire life for it. So I think, like I said earlier, it's just going out and proving it to not only myself, but everyone else that I could do it for 82 games across the season and do it for a full season. So I'm excited for that opportunity, hopefully, and I'm just looking forward to getting to play games. It's been a while since we last played a game, and yeah, I'm looking forward to just getting out there and competing again, but I'm excited for it.
Opportunity is a really big word with Collin Gillespie. I would also say the word stability. This is somebody that had so much stability in college at Villanova, despite a changing role. It was just such a great, well put together program. But in his time in the NBA, right, he's been in the G League. He's been on different teams. He was up and down last year, and his role was completely different from starting to coming off of the bench to playing garbage time. So we also spoke about the feeling of stability with him right now.
I feel like I'm always fighting for my spot. I always want to get better. I always want to, every day I go into the gym, I don't ever think, I'm never satisfied like with where I'm at. So I want to continue to get better. There's always room to learn and to grow. And I'm still, this is my 3rd year playing coming up. So kind of still a little bit young, but I do have some experience and been around a few different teams, so there is experience there that I could share with the younger guys. But for myself, I'm never satisfied. I'm humble. I'm hungry to continue to get better and just continue to grow.
Yeah, I think he's a player to watch for the Suns this season. Might not necessarily hit to the same extent that Ty Jerome did with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I think that the ways he'll have space to operate in, but also have defenses not always be as set as they were last season when he was kind of initiating some of the actions he's in. I think it's going to help him a lot. I think it's going to help the team a lot. Fun fact about Collin. He apparently lived with Mark Williams in their pre-draft days. So leading up to the draft, going through all of the combine stuff, he said they spent days where they were kind of shacked together in that whole process, and they built a rapport with that. So hidden gem potentially within all of the Suns lineup constructs is pick and roll between Collin Gillespie and Mark Williams. He also mentioned, I think he said his agent noted too, that he hasn't played with someone that's a vertical spacer like Mark Williams, and that I think he said verbatim at practice today that his agent suggested he would make his life a lot easier in pick and roll because he can just go up and get it in places where most players can't go reach.
Yeah, I mean, that is a combination I'm really excited for. Just to see Collin with a lot of the starters, I'm really excited for. Yeah. Him with Brooks and Dunn as a defensive trio and that type of perimeter attack there. And
Gillespie, Brooks, and Dunn. That is a law firm if I ever heard one, boy. Sheesh.
Gillespie, Brooks, Dunn, and then give me Fleming and Mark Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one hell of a defensive lineup there.
Mhm.
Lots of energy, lots
That's a
of
fun
length.
one, for
It's
sure.
very fun. I think another really cool combination that I'm looking forward to is Collin Gillespie and Oso Ighodaro. I think those two will probably share the court a little bit more than Mark Williams and Collin Gillespie, simply because I don't think Mark's going to play a ton of minutes, at least early on in the season, and I think he's going to play most of his minutes with the starters, i.e. Devin Booker and Jalen Green. Not that they won't share the court, I just don't know if it's going to be like an all-the-time thing. I do think that Oso and Collin are going to come into the games around a similar time, and I do think they could play off of each other super well. We also, of course, heard from Oso Ighodaro earlier this week, and he talked about his offensive usage under Jordan Ott.
Yeah, Coach Ott's been on me about the offensive glass, especially using my speed, my quickness, my advantages to impact the game that way. He's been pushing me to be super aggressive with the ball in my hands, whether that's rebounding and pushing or whatever the case may be. We obviously don't have offense yet. We're going to go into training camp and put everything in. But, yeah, he's been pushing me to be aggressive in all areas of my game, and I think that was evident in Summer League.
From one player I think it's going to be fun to watch with the Suns this season to another. From Collin Gillespie to Oso Ighodaro. To your point, it might be in tandem with one another, but I think Oso is in for a fun season. Now, how much fun is going to be had, I think depends on how swiftly he comes along in his skill development process. But I think if we take anything away from Summer League, it's that Jordan Ott sees potential in versatile usage of Oso, not just defensively, because we saw that last season, but even offensively. Imploring for him to grab and go all the rebounds that he grabs defensively rather than outletting to a guard, bring it up the court. Put pressure on the defense immediately. Give yourself that extra 3 to 4 seconds, that lag, if you will, where a big is finding a guard to kind of get it ahead to. If you eliminate that, you can put pressure more on the defense, and it allows for you to get through more options within your half-court offense.
You know, we talk a lot about Oso because we talk a lot about everybody, right? Sure. We talk about the passing. You know, we talk about the defense, the rebounding, the grabbing and the going. Oso Ighodaro has an argument to be the best pound-for-pound athlete on this team. I think Jalen Green takes the cake because he is also pound-for-pound, I think, the lightest guy on the team.
It's between him and Rasheer.
Which is fine. I think Oso's up there.
For sure.
That dude
100%.
has crazy bounce, super strong, super athletic. Like he's smart. He's good at passing. You know, he's good at playing defense and communicating and everything. But like he's uber athletic.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that kind of gets lost in the conversation about Oso.
I think that's the fun part about him, because usually when guys are super like smart as far as you being able to see their IQ playing out in real time, it's usually IQ compensating for a lack of something else, whether it be a lack of height or a lack of athleticism. Like, man, that guy's really smart. And sometimes some players have to be that smart to make up for those kind of quote-unquote shortcomings. But with Oso, he has the skill. He has the IQ, the intellectual approach to the game. And he also has the athleticism. And that's why I feel like there's a clear-cut route to success, or 2 or 3 routes to success for him with this team this season.
Well, he talked about his role for the team.
I don't think I've been given an explicit role, but I think that training camp is a great opportunity to increase that or to prove myself to the coaches. I think he just wants us to impact winning, and that's the goal for everyone in the organization. And we're going to go into training camp and try to prove that we can impact winning at a high level.
I mean, that's what he did last season. Now, obviously, the wins weren't abundant for the Suns last year, but the minutes when he was on the court with Ryan Dunn and Kevin Durant on this very show, I don't even know what word you can use for past lamenting something.
I'm about to say lamented.
But past that, because we
Demented.
were hammering.
That's what I felt, demented, man. Like
I'm not
you
touching
saying
that.
that,
I ain't
like
touching
sometimes some things are said about last season. It's like, ha ha ha, funny jokes. And then you say something and it just takes me to this dark place.
I mean, clearly.
It's like, oh my
Clearly.
God. Yeah, dude, the amount of begging that we did.
But begging by presenting context that made entirely too much sense to not justify.
I already love Jordan Ott.
That was
I don't even care,
yeah,
dude.
man.
I don't even care.
Yeah.
I already love Jordan Ott, man.
I forgot where I was even going with that, but
Let's talk about the lineups
but those
of
two,
Dunn.
the rookies of last season with Kevin Durant was arguably the best non-garbage time 3-player lineup for the team last season. And that wasn't because Kevin Durant was carrying the weight of that. Those two players and everything that they added in terms of the defensive versatility and then allowing for them to play by forcing turnovers and spending more time in transition was truly invaluable.
I feel like, and I said it with Ryan Dunn last year, Oso's the same way. The trial by fire is going to pay off big time for him.
Yeah.
Of course, when people talk about Oso, they bring up the shooting. He was asked about his shooting progression.
Yeah, for sure. I think shooting is a long-term project for me, and I've spent a lot of time this summer on it to improve it. And I think that that's going to be something in my long-term career that is going to keep me around in the league eventually. So obviously that's not my number one strength right now, but it's something that I'm continually working on.
And I think that goes to the skilled part of it because shooting is the most premium skill. That's the one that everybody wants in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Oso doesn't necessarily have it yet. But I think that because he has so many other skills that are ahead of the curve, leaning more into those while working on that one on the periphery is what's going to allow for him to find new roles and new opportunities, new pockets of success, and maybe even more minutes than he averaged last season when he was in the rotation.
I'm not worried about Oso's jump shot because I don't look at him as somebody who is going to be a jump shooter.
Yeah.
If he can't have any semblance of that is amazing. But it's not expected, right? He has so many other skills that can be used on an NBA level. I just want to put him in the right position. I love the chat's talking about because Megan's in here, so they're saying happy belated birthday, of course, and they're talking about, oh, well, I'm this age, but I feel this age. Oh, my body's breaking down. I might have the worst body of a 26-year-old, like of all time. I can't move any of my joints without them cracking. Like everything hurts all the time. So come at me, guys. I have the body of like a 45-year-old. It's bad. It's bad. Logan Lake says, I want Oso to become Bam light. Man, me too.
Bam is I hear you. I genuinely do. Bam is such a unique comp though. I don't know if
his
there's
offensive
a direct
game is so much.
And that's
more
my thing.
advanced.
I just don't know if there's a direct comp for Oso that's in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a great thing. I think it's just about how a coach is going to lean into his strengths and kind of feature him to those.
Yeah. I think it's osteoporosis is crazy. That's what it feels like, dude. Before we get too deep into osteoporosis, Sean says OE in the house. Osteoporosis, Eric. New nickname alert. I actually heard that that's Oso's government name. If you had to mark one younger, or I guess role player on the Phoenix Suns to have a breakout season this year, would it be Grayson Allen, even though he's not really on the younger side of things?
I would say from the role players comprehensively, Grayson. But if we shrink it or condense it to the younger guys, I'll probably go with Collin. And I'll go with Collin because I actually asked him about this today. Playing with one, if not both, of Jalen and Devin, and his ability to also be able to get off the ball while allowing them to play on the ball more and vice versa naturally. He said he feels like that's an advantage because of the many dynamics in play there.
Yeah. By the way, it will be a short overtime, but an overtime nonetheless. If you're watching on GoPHNX.com, the party always or watching on TV, the party always continues over at GoPHNX.com. If you're already on GoPHNX.com, thanks. We both have games we need to get to, so we can't stick around for too long. I'll give my pick for breakout player. Give me Mark Williams. Give me Mark Williams.
Yeah, you know what? I keep forgetting that he's
like
on the
24.
younger side.
He's younger than Collin.
Yeah, which is crazy. And to the younger point, we're not talking about younger guys anymore per se, but the homie on Twitter, Brett Usher, if you don't know him, you've seen his videos.
Is
and
it
you've
Usher?
interacted with him. I think it's Usher or Usher, either one of those two.
Okay, I was like, who are you talking about?
That's
Like,
the guy.
okay.
You know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
He mentioned the other day Devin Booker being in season 11. And only being 28 years old
Isn't
is
that nuts?
that's
It's
insane.
I mean, he'll be 29 by the time the season starts.
Even
but yeah.
still being on the right side of 30
Yeah.
in number 11 in terms of your seasons played is insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He's been so good for so long too.
Yeah, it is nuts when you start thinking about all the different iterations of things that have happened like, just in the world since Devin Booker became a Phoenix Sun. Juice Man, give us your breakout player, and then we'll talk about these jerseys real quick, even though they're not gray.
I got Oso.
Oso's a good pick. I think Dunn's also a good pick. I think there's lots of good picks, and that's the fun part in all of this. Another fun part, as you guys let us know who you think your breakout players would be, are these jerseys. The new Statement Edition uniforms for the Phoenix Suns dropped today. I think they're pretty sexy, especially the shorts. Some people wishing there was a little bit more on the front since the number's a little bit over, but I think the on-court look for these are going to be incredible.
Yeah, I like these a lot. I have people on Twitter saying they wish the sunburst was also on the jersey.
I think that's a good call.
And I think I understand where they're coming from with that. I also still like them understanding we've done enough here.
Sure. Well,
they got the gradient on the outline.
The Valley jersey last year was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But I still felt like there could have been a little bit more. I feel like maybe just putting the number more towards in the center and having maybe like a gradient on the number or something. But I would put these in probably the elite tier jerseys. I think these are really nice.
Would you rather have the sunburst on the jersey instead of the shorts or on both?
Ayrton's shaking his head. I don't know what he's shaking his head in.
Can't do both.
That's what I'm asking.
I think I'd probably rather have it on the jersey, honestly.
On the jersey?
On the jersey.
And then the shorts just be...
The shorts have maybe the trim going up on the side as well.
If the sunburst was on the jersey, it would look like just the home and away, but just
that's true. This does give it a little bit of a different look. I think without the sunburst on the shorts and stuff, it's kind of giving Kings. But I do really like these.
The Suns purple is more royal than the Kings purple.
Yeah, they don't have a bad jersey right now. They don't have a bad jersey right now. This is another. They've been on a hot.
It's been a multi-year
hot streak.
Yeah,
ever since the gray sleeve jerseys, they haven't missed.
My rebuttal: I hope there's a black court.
Yeah, I hope the court. I think the court's gonna be cool.
Or
hopefully,
at least
it's like
the paint.
Like the Valley court.
At least
like
the
Valley
paint
court's
similar
really
to the
cool.
Valley court. Yep.
Travioli says, "Are we still bringing the Valley jerseys back?" I don't know. Amna says the sunburst on the jersey too would be nice, but this looks so clean. It does look really, really, really clean. And this is a clean ending to PHNX Suns on this week. Thank you all so much for tapping into our Media Day coverage. Thank you all so much for watching those pre-recorded shows. There's a lot more that you can still dive into if you missed those, whether it is the jersey tier, which we might have to now redo. Everything's changed. Everything's different. Or lessons from the past that they can learn from a guy like Steve Nash or anything like that. So we will be back next week early on, getting you ready for the first preseason game on October 3rd. Can't believe that it is already almost here. Basketball is hopefully going to be upon us soon, and we will be breaking all of that down, getting you ready for it right here on PHNX Suns. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Check out the PHNX Mercury post-game show tonight. Check out the ASU football post-game show tonight. Both Steven and I will be holding it down on other beats today. Plenty on the table today for PHNX fans. We really do appreciate all of you who tune in with us with all of our coverage and are subscribed to this channel. Shout out to the Cardinals, guys. They had a great night last night, despite the game being
that's crazy.
The Marv.
And by the way, y'all stop with the Ryan Clark. Stop with that. Stop with that.
Oh. I didn't know
Kyler Murray in place of Lamar and all this.
I didn't know we were gonna get Ryan Clark conversations here at the end of PHNX, but we snuck it in right at the end.
RC, I respect you. You gotta knock that off though, bro.
Yeah,
don't do that.
He low-key been wilding a little bit recently.
He's been spending too much time around some of them other people at the network. That's what the issue is.
All right, before we get in trouble, you can follow the show at PHNX_. Suns. Shout out to Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Steven at Steven PG3. That's Steven with the PH because he balances us out. And of course, you can catch him for all of his Mercury coverage as well. And if you are an ASU fan, specifically football right now, you can follow me at ERIKRUBY for Suns and ASU content, bringing you a pregame show that'll be coming up here in just a little bit, then a postgame show after ASU takes on TCU. So go Merc. Go Devs, go D-backs, and we'll talk to you all next week.
We all silly like the mayor.